So it's great to have you guys, to see you here on this side of the pond. So let's go ahead and start with Mohammed. We'll let you, or Jonathan, you want to? Okay, Jonathan's the leader. So we're going to let Jonathan begin, and he's going to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about why he's doing what he's doing. So welcome to Florida.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Lori, for arranging this as well, and thank you, the David Project and all the organizations that worked in order to make this panel happen. It's our pleasure to be here. So my name is Jonathan Al-Khouri. I'm 25 years old. I'm the minorities coordinator for the organization Reservists on Duty. The organization was established in 2015 by Israeli combat soldiers that saw that all around the world, people are saying that the IDF soldiers are violating human rights, that they are not letting the Palestinians have their lives. And they decided to build up this organization and go to college campuses and face the BDS movement in particular, and the SJP student bodies all over the states. The reason why we have today a panel of minorities, it's because Mohammed and I, we were at UC Irvine during an Apartheid Week. For those of you who don't know what Apartheid Week, do you have Apartheid Week here? Amazing. Make sure to keep it that way. But we went to UC Irvine in California to an Apartheid Week, and they built this huge wall. They write false facts about Israel. One of their main slogans is "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." They're even not willing to accept a state called Israel. And we went there with our signs, with our flags, to just counter their event and not let them have the whole floor and be there to have a dialogue about this. So I just want to show you what happened to us over there, and then we're going to continue with that.
Go back to Europe! Go back to Europe! Whose university? Our university! We charge you with genocide! We charge you with genocide! Hey, white girl, what do you say? Hey, white girl, what do you say? You are justifying terrorism! Do you want to talk or do you want to shout?
Just when they started to see, oh, this guy has some questions and they don't know how to answer that, they're immediately like, nope, don't talk to him. We don't engage with him.
Don't engage with people who are going to waste your time. Don't engage with people.
I would like the source for this. Can I get it, please?
You said you guys don't use good shoes. This is a video. Anyone that wants to see it, I will show you right now from Hamas.
I'd like the shirt for this. I've never seen this in my life, and I lived there and I served in the Israeli army.
Why?
Why should it?
In Haifa University, 45% of it are non-Jews. In Aqua University, 55% of it are non-Jews. In Tzfat University, 65% of it are non-Jews. So what kind of apartheid is that?
There's facts on the ground that they're lying about.
They're lying because I'm Arab Muslim, live in Israel, and we don't have any apartheid. أنت يهودي مسلم. لا أنا مش يهودي مسلم، أنا عربي إسرائيلي مسلم.
They have billions of dollars funneling into Gaza and into the West Bank, and where does it go?
فلسطين شو كانت؟ فلسطين. وشو دولة فلسطين؟ مين كان رئيسها؟ شو كان علمها؟ شو كانت حدودها اللي فلسطين تحكي عنها؟
Why are they living in multi-million-dollar mansions when their people are starving? Can you please give me your definition?
I'm not getting paid a dime to be here. I'm here because I believe in liberal thinking. I don't believe in hate speech. I don't believe in an incitement. And I think that this is what this is.
Stop being so hateful. Stop being so anti. Be pro.
How the Palestinians reacted to when you guys killed 3 kids. You guys loved it. You celebrated it.
The second that Jewish students that are a little different from you feel uncomfortable to walk by here, yeah, I'm going to stand up for that as an American, as an Israeli, and as a former IDF soldier.
Thank you. So this is only the tip of the iceberg of what we went through the whole week. We had, in one evening during the Apartheid week, we had a panel like this one over here. And 50 people, 50 SJP students came to our event. They shut down our event. We had to have a police escort in order to be able to go out of campus. That's how bad it was. And later on, because we filed a complaint against the SJP movement, it was an event with SSI chapter at UC Irvine. So the Hillel, SSI, Stand With Us, all of us, we combined a complaint against the SJP chapter at UC Irvine, and the campus decided to find them guilty of violating the university's rule of conduct. And today they are in 2 years of probation, and they have to go in these 2 years up to 12 meetings about freedom of speech. It's about time that they will understand that we need to have a conversation, and not only to hear them shouting at us and yelling. One of our delegation members were spat on only because she thinks differently. But let's continue to our subject, Israel's minorities. All this panel today is out of Israel's minorities. We have Bedouins right on my both sides. One is Mohammed Kahbiya, one is Nasreen Khalifa El-Heb. Both of them are going to talk about the Muslim community, why they chose to come here today, and why they feel what they feel. We have Lorena Khatib. She is a Druze from the north of Israel. She's going to talk about the Druze community that is so wonderful that almost no one really knows what is happening in that religion. And she's going to explain about that. And we have Nizar Jaraisi, a Christian from the village in the north of Israel, and myself, a Christian from Lebanon originally, and I'm going to be talking about it later on. These are the numbers. We are around 25% of Israel's population. 1.8 million are Muslims. Out of them, 350,000 Bedouins, around 170,000 Christians, 140,000 Druze, and others are around 388,000 that I'm considered to be one of them. So let's start with our first speaker, with Lorena Khatib, and she's going to introduce herself. Lorena.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, thank you all for having us here. My name is Lorena Khatib. I'm 21 years old. I'm from Smea village in the Galilee. It's a village in the north of Israel. I'm a Druze woman. I'm a BA student in Haifa University. I study sociology and anthropology. And this is my third and last year. And I came from a military family background. My dad was in a warden. My brother works also in the army career. And in our society and religion, only men can and should do the army service. Women can't be a part of the field activity. So I did 1 year of national service in the Druze Youth Organization, and I was the leader of the group. It was considered from 20 children. The main goal of this organization is improving the relationships between the Druze community and the land they are living in. I don't know if you know, but the Druze community is loyal to the land they are living in every country in the whole world. So I will introduce myself. I have received the Munster Education Award in 2014, and I have participated also in UNICEF, the United Nations Children Fund, for like 3 years. I'm doing right now an internship here in a social organization called Open Door, the Israeli Association for Families, as a telephone advisor. And the Druze community, the Druze community is an Arab-speaking community. We have split from the Shia Ismaili. It's a group of Muslims in the 11th century. We resemble more than 100,000 citizens in Israel, and the other are residents of the Golan Heights. The Druze community is also called Bani Ma'ruf or Muwahidun, according to the belief that we believe in one God, Muwahidun. In English, one means Wahid. Wahid means one, sorry. And the Druze community is always kept as a secret. Only the religious people can know the secrets of the community, of their religion. Like, we can't read in the holy books of the Druze because it's so complicated. So, the Druze is a small minority in Israel, And every year, 85% of the Druze community join to the army. This number is higher more than the Jewish community in Israel. And the other are religious people, and they can't join to the army. And so I can say that life as a minority in Israel is very challenging and amazing in my point of view. But in the one side, I don't like people who categorize me as a loyal Druze because we do the army service and we keep the land. And many Druze soldiers were killed in the battles and the field activities. The Druze community have sacrificed more than 400,000, than 400 soldiers in the battles. But on the other side, I can say that we give all of our debts and we get all of our rights. So there is no place in the world that the Druze community can express and can feel independent like in Israel. For example, Israel was the first country that have recognized the Druze community as a loyal and unique religion. And I can say also that the Druze women in Syria and Jordan can't go like in the streets with the Druze head cover. It's not acceptable and allowed for them. They can go with the Muslim head cover. And if there is a message that is really burning for me to pass it, is promoting the status of women in our society and to be an integral part of the society. Like, as you know, in every Arab culture, there is no equality between women and men. So it's not allowed for me, and it's not acceptable to be here, standing in front of you all and dealing with this big issue. So it was a huge step for me to take and to come here, because my family supports me, but you can't find a lot of families that support those kind of ideas. And I think that in a state and in a country like in Israel, we can break the silence. We can get the free speech to get what we want and to get the right to get everything you want as a human being. So I want to thank you all for coming and listening to our stories, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Lorena. I think the Druze community is one of the uniquest communities that we have in Israel because, like Lorena said, it's the secrets of the religion that no one really knows about. We're going to continue for our next speaker, Nizar Jaraisi from the north of Israel, from the village Tarjiha, and he's going to introduce himself.
Good evening. My name is Nizar Jaraisi. I'm 22 years old. I live in the north of Israel in a city called Ma'arat Tarjiha. I'm Israeli Christian. The majority of the Christians in Israel lives in the north of Israel. Some of them lives in Haifa region, and the rest of them lives in Jerusalem. I grew up in an environment where I've heard a lot of things about Israel and Palestine, especially in my school. That was the time that I was exposed to this conflict between Israel and Palestine. And I've heard that the Arabs don't get the same rights as the Jews. They're being kicked from their lands for no reason, with no reason. The IDF killed a lot of innocent people, and a lot of kids and women are involved in those wars with no reason to. And I've recognized that a lot of those facts are false facts. So I just wanted to research and look what is happening around me. I tried to research about the Christian minorities that lives in Arab countries surrounding Israel, such as Syria, Egypt, and I'm pretty sure that you heard about all the Christians being persecuted in those countries. In the media, we can see that too. Churches being bombed and burned, also women and children being raped and beheaded. And that was a total shock for me. So comparing my life as an Israeli Christian, as a minority in Israel, to their lives that live in Arab countries, it was a really shock for me. And that was the time that I thought to myself that I really need to dedicate a time and return the favor to this country that protects me as a minority by law and by the IDF that also protect our borders from those enemies that we have. At the age of 18, I joined the army to a combat unit. I was a combat fighter. I served for 3 years, and I finished it 1 year ago. My family supported my choice joining the army, but a lot of people in my village didn't really the fact of me wearing the IDF uniform. But it was a better situation from another people like myself that came home and being attacked and humiliated and also violated by other people that didn't agree with their opinion. And but why is that happening? Actually, it happens because all of the misleading information that they get from the Arab leaderships, that instead of working on coexistence and be the opportunity to get the opportunity to make a change for a better life, to support the coexistence, they advocate a division and also hate. That what we get. And that was the time that they also accused us as part of killing innocent people in wars, and also humiliating Palestinians' human basic rights. And I also experienced that myself during a protective edge operation next to Gaza Strip, when we saw that Hamas using a really smart and useful technique that I'm pretty sure that most of you heard about it too. It's the human shield, that they keep a lot of innocent people in public places such as hospitals, and also holy places as mosques and schools and nursing homes. And they also threat them lives, that they can't leave the place, and if they do, they will be killed. And also in those places placed a lot of ammunition also and rocket launchers, which is also directed to Israel. So the Air Force as well knows about this technique and wanted to warn them, and also spread a lot of flares in those targets before targeting them, because they cared about the human life loss when Hamas didn't. And it's a tragedy for me to hear about human life loss, but that's what happened. So I'm here today, and all the panel here today, because we wanted to break the silence and share with you the ground truth of what's happening in Israel. And I really think that it's the time that we should say enough is enough, and we need to see a change. That those people in those wars, those terrorists in those wars, more accurate, they had a lot of chances of turning back, only they didn't. They kept going. They are famished for blood. They want wars, and they want to fight. And every peace stone that Israel tries to build, and Hamas hammer instantly smash it. And I think that as humanitarians, we should get into a solution. That's why we're here, and to hear your questions and also answer it. Thank you for having us today.
Thank you, Nizar. Now we're going to start our Bedouin session.
First of all, it's my honor to be here today and share with you my story. How is to be an Arab Bedouin Muslims woman in Israel. My name is Nasrin Khalifa El-Heb. I'm 20 years old and I have just finished the national service. I live in Nahariya. Nahariya is a Jewish city. I believe in coexistence. As I grow up, I celebrated both holidays, Jewish and Muslims together. I learn in a Jewish school. I have Arab friends and Jewish friends. And generally, people always wanted to know about my culture, about the way I live my life, about myself. It wasn't normal those days, but they always accepted me. I decided to serve in the national service by choice because I believe that it's the best way that Arab people and Jewish people live together in coexistence and in respect. In Israel, every 18 years old citizen committed to serve in the national service or enjoy to the army. Besides it, Christians and Muslims, they can only if they want to. My family always taught me to love where I live, and I always felt belong to Israel. In the Arab sector, it's not acceptable that women enjoy to the army or serve in the national service. I choose to do it because I believe that women can do it too. For example, my sister enjoyed to the military lawyers unit in the IDF. My father was 37 years in the IDF. He was one of the founders of the trackers in the Bedouin unit. He led the chief of staff of the IDF in the battlefield. He was the first Arab who reached the rank of colonel. And he died before 5 years from a cancer. And he had a very close relationship with the chief of staff of the IDF. And to sum up, I want to say that all the things that I told you can prove us that Jewish people and Arab people in Israel can live in respect, in coexistence, and in Israel. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nasreen. Now we're going to continue to Muhammad Kabiya from the village Kabiya, from Kabiya Street 1. No streets in the village, okay. And he's going to continue the Bedouin story that we opened tonight.
Good evening. I want to thank you to having us here, and I want to thank especially Lori and Stan for what you're doing for Israel. I, Muhammad Kabiya, 27 years old, from the village Kabiya. I want to start my story. In 1936, after the first partition plan, Arab insurgents came to kill Alexander Zaid. Alexander Zaid was the head of the Shomer movement, the first Jewish security movement in Israel in the Galilee Valley. And Bedouin Sheikh heard about these schemes and decided to protect Alexander Zaid and to give shield to his family. And when the insurgents came, this sheikh protect Alexander Zaid and gave them a shield and attacked the insurgents and kept them to leave. This sheikh was my great-grandfather. And for me and for my tribe, for my family, this was the first connection to the Jews people in Israel. In 1948, when the state of establishment, the Bedouins was the first minority group that joined the IDF. And with the Druze. Okay. With the Druze. Firstly, they serve scouts every morning and every evening until nowadays, who opening and closing the Israeli borders is the Bedouin soldiers and the Bedouin trackers. And the Bedouins, we have two units in the army. The first one is the scouts, the trackers, that Nasrin's father, he is one of this unit founders. And the second unit is the Bedouin Desert Trackers Battalion. And they are activating in Gaza Strip. And the Bedouin community sacrificed 191 soldiers in the Israeli battles. They're volunteering, and every year hundreds of teenagers from the Bedouin community joining to the IDF. And when Lori interviewed me Lori and Stan interviewed me in my village, I take them to the cemetery to show them that in the village cemetery, Islamic cemetery, we have tombs for soldiers with the IDF symbols side by side with Islamic tombs, and we don't have any problem with this, and we give them a respect like another people, and this is Israel for me. We can work together and serve in the army together and doing everything together. Many people and many extremist organizations like ISIS and like Hezbollah and like Hamas using the Islam for their propaganda and their agenda. Nobody and the media, many people don't know that the Islam never commanded to kill or to kill the Jews or the Christians. Contrary, the Islam commanded only to respect them and to give them a shield and support. I myself, I had the pleasure to serve in the army. I served in the Israeli Air Force, and our job in my unit, I served in Help and Rescue Unit, Helicopter Squadron, and our job in my unit was to save lives. And many times these people was Palestinians, Syrians, or peoples that they are not Israeli citizens. I remember that many times that we had a siren, emergency siren in my unit, and the pilots and the staff departed and helped a Palestinian child from Gaza Strip and take them to take medical aid in the Israeli hospitals. You will not find this information and these things in the media, because the media, what they want to show you is only the bad things and only what they want to focusing about happening between the Israelis and the Palestinians, not the good things, the bad things and the negative things in the West Bank. After amazing 3 years in the army, I finished my military service and I went to work in the Checkpoints Authority. And there also, I saw how much Israel helping the Palestinian people, because every day, every morning, I'm managing thousands of Palestinian people to enter to Israel to work, to worship, and to visit their families if they have families in Israel. And I don't know if you know that at least every day, 70,000 Palestinians enter to Israel to work. And they enter illegally. And we have in Israel at least 100,000 Palestinians that work in Israel illegally. And the Israeli governments know that, but they want to let them to work and to live respectfully. And when I asked the Palestinian man, why is it very important to you to enter to Israel to work, he told me he felt freely to speak with me because we spoke the same language. And he told me that what they get in pay in Israel is much more than what they get in pay in the West Bank. And in Israel, they have rights that they haven't in the West Bank and in the West Bank. And we haven't Palestinian people that enter from Gaza Strip to work. Because Hamas will using them to their agenda, to their attacks and activity. I left my job in the Checkpoints Authority and I started to study University of Haifa. And in the University of Haifa also I saw how much Israel democracy and have a freedom speech, and anyone can say what he wants and nobody limits them. Because in University of Haifa you can find in one day a protest rally, on one side students waving the Palestinian flag, and the other side students waving the Israeli flags, and students speaking and saying things against and anti the IDF, anti the governments and anti the state of Israel, and nobody limits them, because we have a democracy state. I don't know if you know Hanin Zabi, member of the Knesset, or Jamal Zahalka, or another members of the Knesset, that they are speaking every week against Israel and against the IDF inside the Knesset, inside the Israeli parliament. And nobody limits them, because we have really a democracy, and in my eyes is the most democracy state in the world. And after an hour, you can find the same students that was in the outside of the campus, and they had a rally. They study side by side in the classroom, and they helping each other also in their homeworks. When I started to study in University of Haifa, I started to prepare Bedouin guys to integrate to the special units in the IDF. Because I believe that everyone in every state and every country have to contribute and have to support his country. And because we in Israel all the time and always we was under attack, I think that is very important to serve our country and to defend our homeland. I decided to prepare these Bedouin teenagers to volunteer to the army, and the Israeli army and the IDF, and to support or to be integral part from the Israeli society.
הנוער בימינו יעצב דמות האדם בישראל על ידי חיי מופת. ואכן חיי המופת של הנוער יעצבו דמות האדם ודמות החברה הישראלית. חניכי המחוז הבדואי עוברים תהליך אינטנסיבי כהכנה לצבא. לשירות משמעותי בצבא ההגנה לישראל. הם בונים את דור העתיד של החברה הישראלית. החניכים האלה ביקרו את החיילים בבסיסיהם וחילקו להם ממתקים. ביקרו חיילים פצועים בבתי חולים ואמרו להם אנחנו נלך בדרככם. הם התעטפו בכחול לבן, וצעדו בכפרים, לזכר החללים הבדואים, אשר חירפו את נפשם למען המדינה. הם תמיד הושיטו יד לתושבים בכפרים. הם הזדעזעו ונסערו ששמעו את ניצולת השואה אסתר ממחנה הריכוז ביוגוסלביה, ואמרו לה והבטיחו לה, לעולם לא עוד, אנחנו נתגייס שזה לא יקרה שוב. כל זה עשו הנוער הבדואי, אך הם עדיין זקוקים לדבר קטן, במיוחד בימים האלה שבהם השנאה מנסה להפריד בין כולם ללא הבדל בין גזע ודת ומין. הם זקוקים לחיבוק כמו החיבוק שזה היה שהיה פה. הם זקוקים לחיבוק של החברה הישראלית, כי אנחנו לא רק שדה הקרב יכולים ללחם יחד כתף אל כתף, אנחנו יכולים לעשות את זה גם באזרחות בחיי יום יום, שפושטים את המדים.
Thank you very much, Muhammad. Every time I change his accent, yeah. Muhammad? Muhammad. Okay. It's the Bedouin accent. So my name is Jonathan Al-Khouri, like I said. I'm 25 years old, and I was born in Lebanon. You might ask yourself what brings a Lebanese person to talk about Israel. Have everyone here visited Israel before? Who haven't? Oh, that's a lot of people here. Then you should go to Israel. Now you have 5 friends in Israel. All over the north. You can visit us. Feel free to add us as well on Facebook or everywhere and just come visit us. But I used to live in a village in South Lebanon that is 2 kilometers. It's about like 1 mile from the Israeli border. And my father was a soldier in the South Lebanon Army that was established in 1982 with the help of Israel because our villages in South Lebanon were targeted because we were Christians by the PLO and later on by the Hezbollah terrorist organization. And when Israel decided to withdraw from South Lebanon in 2000, my father fled that day, and my mom, brother, and I, we joined him a year and a half after that. We stayed in Lebanon during Hezbollah's return to Lebanon, to the south, and when they started entering our villages and our homes, taking sometimes men that stayed in Lebanon and were in the South Lebanon Army captive. Some of them have never been found. Some of them were found next to the street. Some of them were thrown from rooftops because they worked with Israel or because they worked in Israel. And in August 2001, my mom woke me up in the middle of the night, and she said, Jonathan, well, my name back then was Nizar. I have 2 names. She said, Nizar, take something that is really important to you because we're going to leave for a while and we're not going to be back because we're going to visit relatives. So I took 2 teddy bears. I was 9 years old, and that was the most important thing in the world for me. So I took 2 teddy bears with me. And suddenly I found myself in the airport. I saw my mom's parents, my grandparents, standing there in the entrance. My mom called her sister. She said goodbye on the phone. And then I saw my father's brothers standing there next to them and saying goodbye. But it wasn't a regular goodbye like someone is going for a vacation. It was much more than that. And I found myself going in the airport. My mom didn't really say anything to me because, as you see, I speak a lot, and she didn't want anyone to know where we're heading. So she told me that we're going to go visit my uncle in the States. I have an uncle that lives in California. And I said, okay, well, we're going to visit the States. I always heard about the States. I've seen him only once in my life when I was really young. And he have kids in my age, so I wanted to meet them, my cousins. But it was a 30 minutes flight. I found myself in Cyprus. That was quick. And suddenly when we went out of Cyprus airport, we were still before the passport checkups. This man came to my mom and he asked her, are you the Al-Khouri family? She didn't answer at the beginning because she was afraid that this man will arrest us because they know our names, they know who we are, and they can arrest us at any moment. Then he asked her again and gave her a phone. It was my father on the other side that said that this man is from the Israeli government and he's going to help us go through security, take us to the Israeli embassy to get our stamps because we have Lebanese passports. We can't just go to Israel with Lebanese passports. And 24 hours after that, we were on a plane to Ben Gurion Airport. My father took us to a place where they settled the Lebanese families at the beginning in Israel. My father was settled in Nahria, where Nasrin lives today, and they opened special schools. The Israeli government opened special schools for the South Lebanon Army families. They opened Ulpan, it's the Hebrew schools for our parents. They opened education centers in order to help them and start entering the work process in Israel, because we didn't know any language except Arabic. Some of us knew English. For example, I studied in an English school, so I knew English. But the rest of the Lebanese, they know French because French is a main language in Lebanon. So they had to learn to speak Hebrew. And all our parents were in the military, so they didn't have any education. They didn't have any documents or paperwork, so they had to go through this process again. But we had full support from the Israeli people that hugged us and helped us and volunteered with us and made us feel home. For example, when I was in school, I was the only Arab-speaking kid in my class because I found myself in a tough situation. My father decided to relocate to Haifa. Everyone know Haifa, where Haifa is? It's in north of Israel. It's, let's say, 2 hours away from Lebanon by car. Yeah, with traffic. It's always traffic up there, yeah. So he decided to go there because it's a mixed city. You can find every religion there, and we have the most amazing Baha'i center in the world in Haifa. So we moved there, and the Arab community said that they don't want anything to do with us. They considered us as traitors, that we betrayed the Arab world, that we collaborate with Israel, so they don't want us in their community. And we had only the Jewish schools. Like I said, I was the only Arab-speaking kid in my class and in my school. So the school took me as a project, Lo Impod. This picture on the right is when we were reunited with my father in Israel, like 3 months after we came to Israel. So in high school, for example, the school gave us the opportunity to read a prayer for our fallen soldiers from the South Lebanon Army in the National IDF Memorial Day ceremony that we have in school, in the main ceremony. The South Lebanon Army family sacrificed 1,500 soldiers in the wars between 1982 till 2000. And the school made us feel that they know what we went through. They considered us as part of them. That's why they're giving us this opportunity to read it right after the IDF Iskol prayer for the fallen soldiers. In 2012, I finished national service. I did national service for 2 years. Then I started calling for minorities to integrate to the Israeli society by national service or IDF service. Because as everyone, you heard everyone here saying this, we have things that we need to change in Israel. We're not trying to paint Israel as pink. It's not. There's a lot of things that we need to change. But in order to change that, we need to start at the beginning to be part of this community. To start and feel that this community is ours. If we want to change it, we need to be part of it. Not as outsiders that are trying to control or trying to force someone to have our opinions. And you heard it from all the panel here today, from all these different backgrounds, different religions. Everyone here tonight spoke from his own perspective and from his own unique mind of what he wants his community as well to do, and his community to be better integrated and better working in the Israeli society. That's why we did this panel. For example, yesterday we were in Atlanta. We just arrived here today, and we were at Georgia University, Georgia University, University of Georgia. Yes, the University of Georgia, and we had the SJP chapter coming to our event at the beginning. They did like this walkout. Everyone popped up like popcorn. At his time, read this slogan that he wrote in advance, shouted at us, and just left the room yelling, "Free, free Palestine." And they didn't want to listen to us. But after they left, they had their own event, and its name was "Israel is an Apartheid State." So we went there and we made it really clear to them that we are the one that are living in Israel. 95% of the people that shouted at us have never visited Israel, have never knew anyone that lived in Israel, and they dare come say that we need to be ashamed of ourselves because we are having these opinions and because we think differently than them. We're not going to be sorry about it. This is our truth, this is what we believe in, and we're working for this real coexistence in Israel. We don't need intifada in Israel. They're calling for intifada. If they have ever experienced intifada, they will never call for intifada. Intifada is killing of innocent people from both sides. So why do we need that now on our heads? And the students at UC Irvine, they're just yelling it like it was, yalla, let's have popcorn and Coca-Cola.
What is your guys' reaction to President Trump designating Jerusalem as the capital of Israel?
Just I will start with it. I support this 100%. Israel, Jerusalem have always been Israel's capital, and it should be Israel's capital. And I really support this decision. I'm gonna give Muhammad to continue the answer.
I want to answer you as an Arab Muslim, and my answer will be strange for you by the international media, because all the time they say that is very bad deciding for the Muslims. For me, myself, Jerusalem always was the Israeli capital. I think that the issue that all the time obstacle the peace agreement with the Palestinians was Jerusalem, because of the Palestinians all the time they said, what about Jerusalem? We want to Jerusalem. Is Jerusalem or all Jerusalem? And now the President Trump came and put it as a fact, and the Palestinians have and should to deal with it.
I also think that Jerusalem is also the capital and always been the capital of Israel. And how other people reacted to this announcement of Trump, President Trump, they don't have a problem with Jerusalem being a capital. They're having a problem of Jerusalem being Israel capital. So the definition of Israel and Palestine, so it fell between the two in the middle. If you say that Palestine, if you say Jerusalem is Palestine's capital, then the Palestinian side will be so happy. But if you say that Jerusalem is Israel capital, then you will see all the reactions that we had also when it happened. So I might say that Israel is existing, no matter whatever anybody says. It's a fact, and we live in it, and that's it.
You said that you worked with the Checkpoint Authority, correct? I just wanted to kind of get your opinion. I've been to Section A. I didn't actually go in because there was an explosion when we went right there in Section A. But I just wanted to ask, what is your whole take on what goes on in Section A? And are they really trying to fund like terrorism? Are they paying terrorists paychecks when they go to prison?
It's very complicated what happening there. in the West Bank, and all the time I saying that the distance between to be a loser teenager and to be a national hero in the West, in the Palestinian community, you have only to stab a Israeli, a soldier, or any Israeli citizen, and the media and the Palestinian Authority will make you a national hero. And this is what's happening in the West Bank and the Palestinian community. They're paying for people that coming and stab or trying to kill Israelis, only because they try to kill Jews or Israelis. They paying for them, and this is what the teenagers that they are victims by their for their governments and for the Hamas organization think that is the correct thing that to do when they haven't what to do in the West Bank, because the West Bank under the Palestinian Authority government, they don't give them programs or education or anything else to incite them to against the Israelis. I have to say that the tourists that now in the Israeli jails, prisons, they get at least 7,000 or 8,000 shekels for a month, and when they in the Israeli jail.
It depends how many people they try to stab, how many people they actually stab, or how many people they kill.
Yeah, it's
100%.
Yeah.
Illegal immigration is a big problem in the United States right now, and border security is basically national security. And the President Trump believes in building a wall on the southern border, and also points to Israel's wall as evidence that it works. So my question for you guys, does the wall work?
Well, the security barriers in Israel was one of the first things that the Israeli government did in order to avoid terror attacks. Well, it wasn't the first thing. It was like the last option that the Israeli government had. The first option was the peace process that failed, especially after Oslo agreements. And the Israeli government found itself with no other option, because we had terrorists entering almost every day, the suicide bombers, people that tried to stab, to run over, or just kill Jews and Israelis. And 96% of the terrorist attacks declined. The security barrier stopped 96% of these attacks. And I think this is a huge success, because nowadays Israelis can feel more safe in their homes, although we still have a few horrific terror attacks. For example, like the Fogel family is one of the families that is the most memorable families, and the horrible attacks that happened to a family. They just butchered them while they were asleep. And it works in Israel.
I agree with what Jonathan said, but I have to say that this is different situations. When Israel had terror attacks, and in the States is different situation. You have illegal immigration. We can't comparing this with terror attacks. Yeah, it's more dangerous, and we had a security issue, and we can't say that the Mexican people is like the tourists that came from the West Bank to attack the Israelis. It's a very different situation, and we can't comparing between these situations.
Thank you for coming. I wanted to know at the University of Georgia and at the what was it at the Apartheid Week? Yes, yeah. What exactly were they accusing the IDF of doing? And I mean, obviously, it seems to be lies. I mean, how do you guys feel about that? I mean, because it's apparently happening everywhere you guys go. So what is it that they're saying? And I mean, how do you guys react to that?
I just want to give one examples of the things that they put on the wall. I don't know if you saw that in the video, but two of our delegation members, they were pointing on a shirt that was on the wall. What they put is a sniper target. Yeah, a sniper target written on top. You can see a pregnant woman, and this sniper is on her belly with a baby. And they wrote on top of it, 1 shot, 2 kills. And they said that this is an IDF policy, that how they train their snipers to kill 2 people in 1 shot. And then we asked them for their sources, because the first thing that we want to do is to know where is the source from. The girl, the SJP woman that was there, she said that she didn't know because she came after this wall was already built and after this was written on the wall. So I asked her, so do you support things that you don't even know what the source of? And then we know the story behind this shirt. What happened is that there was a stupid guy that finished his military service and decided to prank his unit and made this shirt for his unit. He was later on charged, and he was, I think, dismissed from the unit because of it, because it's something that it can't go through, and it was dealt with, but they put it as a policy of the IDF. It's brutal lies. It's not even something that really happened in reality. It's not something that the IDF ever spoke about. This is, for example, one thing. Other thing that I faced is that one woman said that Haifa is being like an apartheid city. What does that mean? That Arabs have different schools from Jews, that we have different buses, that basically like the apartheid in South Africa, because this is what real apartheid is. And then I said, well, I live in Haifa for the last 17 years. My father is a bus driver. Egged is a Jewish company. It's one of the biggest companies that we have and operate in Haifa. And yes, we do have separated schools. We have Arabic schools and Jewish public schools. But the Arabic schools, they were requested by the Arabic-speaking people. So the Israeli government answered positively for people that ask for Arab-speaking schools. And we have Arabs that learn and teach even in Jewish public schools. So I gave her a lot of examples, and then she was so frustrated. Then the people that were listening to us, they asked her, why are you like in that way? And then she said, well, he has an answer for everything I say. I'm like, of course I'm going to have an answer, because it's brutal lies. I'm going to fix your opinion, and I'm going to fix your lies, because this is what's important. I'm not going to let you lie anymore about the city that I live in. You want to add? Yes.
I want to add something that also... Sorry. I want to add the... I want to add also that it all starts with the brainwash that they reach from their childhood. You can see, like I can give you an example. Ahd Tamimi, if you know her, she had a lot of videos from her childhood that she's stopping soldiers and annoying soldiers in their activity, and they didn't do for her anything. And you can say that if this thing happened in another state, the soldiers do a lot of things to the child. So you can see the difference.
Hi, first thank you for coming as well. And I just wanted your opinion on your Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. I know he's very well respected here in the U.S. and I was wondering how you feel about it.
Do you have like any specific idea or a specific question about him?
Just how do you feel like about him and how he's doing as your Prime Minister, and do you feel like he's doing a good job at taking care of these issues that you've spoke about?
You want to?
אתה רוצה להגיד משהו? טוב. I have to say that we here not represent the government, and we can't speak about our prime minister and ministers. But I can't, to say my mind about any. I can, but here I don't want because he is our prime minister, and I have to respect. I respect him as my prime minister. But I have to say that the government in the last years in Israel did so many things to support the minorities, and they created so many programs to support the integration of the minorities to the Israeli society. This is not only Benjamin Netanyahu, it's the governments and the state of Israel. Because this is what I have, what I can to answer you. The governments in Israel in the last years, I think that is the most years.
This government, this last government in the last year, gave the most money to the Arab sector since Israel's establishment. That's how this government is the most, I think, helpful government towards its minorities and towards its people, with policies and with more money that goes to the Arab sector.
And the last thing, Benjamin Netanyahu voted by the people, the Israeli people, and we have to respect it and to respect them as our prime minister, and that's it.
Thank these guys for coming out. If we could give them another round of applause.
You just learned a portion of the truth about the world's most volatile region, the world's most demonized country, and the 2,000-year hatred of a people that have survived despite the odds. From studying history, it's very clear that what starts with the Jews never ends only with the Jews. We must strongly stand against any anti-Semitic trends, for if not stopped, they'll cause harm to all of us, and we'll witness the downfall of our Judeo-Christian Western culture. Today, many people say there's no longer a need for a Jewish state, that Jews around the world no longer need a place of refuge. But anyone who has heard recent statistics about the worldwide rise in anti-Semitism would never make such a claim. The reality is that neo-Nazi groups and Nazi sympathizers are increasing around the world. Surveys show that over 1 billion people in the world harbor anti-Semitic attitudes. Close to 50% believe that Jews have too much power in the business world, and 2/3 of the world's population has never heard of the Holocaust or believe the historic accounts of it are inaccurate. If there's one thing history has taught the Jewish people, a place they can go in time of need is essential, and Israel fulfills that role. But the need for a Jewish state is not limited to being only a refuge for Jews. Jewish tradition in Israel grants full rights for women and people of all races, faiths, and gender. This tradition is what often makes Israel among the first countries to send doctors and field hospitals to any place where a natural disaster occurs, utilizing their medical advances to save lives worldwide. Muslims, Christians, and people of every faith, or those of no faith, have the freedom to worship or not worship as they choose. For Muslims, the Jewish state goes out of its way to provide this freedom. For example, every Israeli university gives students the option of deferring their exams during the month of Ramadan. The Knesset calls off all sessions at sunset during Ramadan to ensure that Muslim Knesset members can break their fasts with the traditional iftar dinner. In an open and democratic manner, opportunities for education, advancement, and careers exist for all citizens in the Jewish state. Sadly, such rights and opportunities do not exist in any of the Muslim Arab states. For example, in neighboring Jordan, Jews cannot become citizens. And in Saudi Arabia, no non-Muslim can become a citizen. Saying that Israel must cease to exist as a Jewish state while accepting that other countries define themselves as Muslim is pure hypocrisy. In most of these countries, No rights exist for non-Muslims, women, and the LGBT community. Don't let yourself be manipulated by evil people with a wicked agenda. When the self-serving villains are in control, good people from all religions suffer. Muslims, Christians, and all people of conscience should stand proudly and show respect for a country that gives so much to the world in so many ways. Do your part, do your research, and do what you can to make a difference. Because what happens in Israel does affect us all. This is not just a Jewish or just an Israeli problem. This is a problem for all humanity, for each and every one of us who believe in freedom and human rights. Learn more about what you can do at pjtn.org.